down, which doesn't even make sense. It would have to overcome a lot of other things in order to do that, but it's doing it. So that's a weird one for a lot of scientists. That's one of the real genuine mysteries of. Yeah, there's a few theories, but they're not all perfect, so it's hard to nail that one down.
Right. It's really confusing. I think we're still having some chat issues. Somebody type something in the chat so I know that it's working for us. Because it's kind of, I think it's kind of frozen. I hope not. But yeah, I haven't seen it moving a bit, so I'm
I've
wondering if
scared everyone away with my boring sciencey talk.
Definitely not, because we do have one question that did make it through. Also, because that's where the strange movement that it was making. Then all of the stars are coming up. Oh, spaceship. It's there's got to be something in there that's making it move.
But, and to be fair, and this is basically this is all from Avi Loeb, a Harvard scientist who famously wrote a book about the first interstellar object that came through, Oumuamua, back several years ago. And where even back then he hypothesized this could be an alien artifact of some type. Because Oumuamua, we didn't even notice it until it was already on the way out, because it wasn't like a comet at all. It was more of like just a big rock, an asteroid. There wasn't like a tail of any kind. It was hard to see. And when they did lock a telescope on it, it was like it would get really bright, then really dim, really bright, really dim, which meant it was tumbling. So it had like a bright side. Basically, it would have had to have been almost like flat on one side and then skinny on the other. So like a cigar shape or like a plate or something like that, where one side was really bright as it was facing it, and then when it got the other way, it was really skinny, really thin. It wasn't reflecting that much light.
Okay.
And Avi Loeb's theory was, this could have been like a solar sail, which is something that NASA's been experimenting with and stuff like that, where you literally, because the sun pushes out material, energized particles from the sun all the time, where it sort of creates a solar wind. And you could use a very large, foil type sail. It would have to be like miles big to push a spacecraft or to pull a spacecraft,
right?
Where it would act just like a sail on a sailing ship, where you could have it float out into the solar system that way. So that was his theory about that. And of course, now this one has come around, and it started off strange because of the direction it came from and the angle that it entered our solar system. It entered from the direction of the the middle of the center of the Milky Way, which, okay, we've never seen anything do that. Granted, this is only the third one we've seen, so it's not like anything we've seen before. That's not a giant step. But what was also strange was the angle that it entered our solar system at. Is it basically hit edge on, because if you've ever seen, a map of the solar system, you got the sun in the middle and you got the planets going out in concentric rings in their orbit as it goes out. It makes it's called the ecliptic plane, that flat area that all the planets orbit in, sort of like if they were like on a record player kind of.
Okay.
This comet came in right along the edge of that. Didn't come in from the above, didn't come in from below, not off to some of the weird side. It was dead straight in along that same path. So, and to be fair, if it was a spaceship that was coming, or a probe just coming through to like map the solar system, that's the path it would take. So I can understand why people would be like, whoa, this is it.
Here the confusion. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Sorry about the chat, guys. They said they kept getting kicked out. Hopefully we're good now and it's going to stay. We do have a question from Sage Rat. She wants to know, the tail being in the wrong direction, could it be a really strong jet?
Meaning like an actual rocket, like a spaceship rocket, or just basically like a geyser, like we were talking about earlier? Because either case, it would have to be really big to push a 6-mile wide thing. We would see it moving in a different direction, because right now it's pointed straight at the sun, but it's not heading directly away from the sun. It's kind of going off at an angle. All that is as the sun was here, it came in really close and then kind of deviated away a little bit, heading out towards where Jupiter is. And so could it be? Could it be like a natural formation, like on the thing where it's just happens to be maybe it's not spinning at all, and it's just one big sublimating structure on there that's just blasting straight at the sun. That's one of the more popular theories. Is maybe it's something like that. But the sad truth is we'll probably never know, because it's getting further and further away from us now, and for the timing of all of it, we're in the wrong place at the wrong time as far as where our orbit was at its closest approach to the sun, which would have been our best chance to see it in detail.
Right.
It was on the opposite side of the sun. What it was that's where the other conspiracy could have. Oh, they're hiding. Those aliens they're gonna loop around the sun and launch their evil death rays out of or whatever it is, or people were saying. But,
oh God. But yeah, that's what she meant to Geyser. Hey, Cass. Hey, Ace.
Yeah.
Hey, Wayne. How's it going? And then Ian. Hello, Ian. I didn't get to say hello to you. His question is, Enzo, have you seen the flying Dorito?
You mean this guy?
Ta-da!
Yep, the mysterious Dorito-shaped aircraft spotted out by Area 51 a few days ago. There's this very sharply defined triangular type craft that was spotted out there. You can sort of see it has a little contrail, but that's not the first time this particular aircraft has been seen, because the same thing was seen back in 2014 over Wichita, Kansas, where I live. No, I didn't take this picture. And Amarillo, Texas, just like within a short period of time later. So this is probably not necessarily, aliens or anything like that. This is probably some kind of high-tech whiz bang, piece of human-made technology, some type of spycraft or something like that. Although it's not a very good spycraft, because it's leaving a hell of a contrail behind it, which you wouldn't necessarily want. So it's hard to say what exactly this is, but people have been seeing something similar to this. Probably some super weird drone that's very high in the sky, and people just happen to see it a couple of times. So yeah, pretty weird.
I agree with you. By just looking at it there, it does look like it's man-made. It doesn't look. That's very interesting. Yeah, that's as usual. They're up to something, and they're going to distract everybody with the UFO stories.
That's right. Honestly, the military, as far as their test aircraft, sure, it's a UFO. It's from outer space. Sure, you believe that. As long as you don't think it's one of our spy stuff things, they're more than happy for people to think they're from outer space or whatever it is. So.
That's it. Yeah, because I remember something years ago, even before 2014, big long ago, there was the same type of thing in the sky. And then they come out with some kind of stealth aircraft that the government was working on. And this is probably the same thing, just an upgraded, model.
Probably. Yeah, this is probably some kind of, drones or unmanned drones are in vogue right now. So it's probably something like that. Cruising along at super high altitudes at very high speeds. They keep calling it a Dorito shape. This particular picture, it's like, no, it's the play button. People are I'm sure everybody that saw this picture is trying to click on that to get it to play the video.
I'd say more of an arrowhead design than anything else. Okay, Mark says here, how do the planets warp space due to mass? And in the fourth dimension, would it be possible to see the fabric bending? It's confusing me, as space is not like a blanket. It's just, space.
Yeah, a lot of people get confused, like when they watch a science show and they talk about gravity, and they show like the mesh type area, and then the planet sits in it, and you can see like where it dips in. Basically, like if it was sitting, like if you put a bowling ball on a trampoline,
Right.
kind of thing. To illustrate, how gravity warps around, and they'll throw like a tennis ball around the outside that'll loop around that thing, and that's what it is. Obviously, space time isn't like a blanket or anything like that, but that's just for an illustrative purposes. But as far as fourth dimension, yeah, it's hard to say. For when you start talking about views from other dimensions, that's something that we just can't relate to because we only see in three dimensions. Yeah, people argue the fourth dimension would be time. Okay, fine, we're fourth dimensional then, I guess. But when you start adding in fifth, sixth, 12th, and I think they're up to either like 12 or 14 measured possible dimensions is what science is saying now. We just can't conceive of it. It's difficult to try and put it all together. It's if you ever remember the old PBS show with Carl Sagan, Contact, or not Contact, was it Contact?
I do remember Contact.
Maybe that's what it was. But where he did this show back in the 70s where he talked about a lot of things like this, and he did this brilliant, and you can find it out there on YouTube, about the fourth dimension of what that would mean. And he starts with like a two-dimensional thing, with us being like the three-dimensional outsider, where they have flat land, and he has little pieces of cardboard paper and stuff like that with little circles and squares, and these are the people that live in flatland. They know width, they know length, but they don't know height. They just can't perceive of it. They can't perceive of that third dimensional of height.
Right.
And they have like little door on their house that they walks in and all that stuff, where if something three-dimensional would intersect with it, and he has an apple, and he puts it in one of those ink blotters and then just puts it down on the table and then picks it up, and you just see like the little imprints of like the bottom indentations of an apple there.
Right.
That's what the Flatlander people would see instead of an apple. They would just see these little bottom parts of the apple where it touches their dimension, their two-dimensional world. And as far as how that upscales to, okay, what would something like that from a outside dimension that's pushing into ours, what would that look like? To me, and again, this is just my opinion, I have zero evidence of it. It just seems like that would be like the logical thing. Is the natural shape for things in our universe is a sphere, as far as a 3D shape. Right. The sun is a sphere, our planet is a sphere, all of that. If you were to cut anything loose in a zero, like if you took like a thing of water, you see videos sometimes from like the ISS and stuff like that, where they'll put a little bit of water out there and it just forms a sphere all on its own, because that's the natural shape for just things at rest. So if something was outside of our universe, outside of our three-dimensional space, pushing its way in to where we could sort of see it, it would probably look like a sphere. Where do we see small spheres that may be glowing and moving around and things like that? Orbs. So that because I have always kind of been of the opinion that UFO stuff, ghost stuff, and cryptid stuff are all kind of the same thing, some kind of interdimensional thing pushing into our world. Yeah. And all three of those things have orb sightings associated with it. I feel that orbs are something that's extra dimensional. That's as far as they can push into our world that we can perceive it.
Right. And yet most paranormal investigators don't believe in orbs or what orbs might be. I mean, yeah, I get it, dust and bugs and all that. Yes, you do have that issue. But there are that once in a blue moon occasion where you've got something that has a life of its own.
Right.
And, doesn't have that normal movement like dust or
insects. The UFO side is the same thing. If I had $1 for every time somebody sent me a genuine UFO video or photograph, and I'd look at it and it's like, sorry, that's a plane, that's a drone, that's the planet Venus, that's dust on the land. A lot of things. I've had a lot of people get really mad at me when I don't believe. Yeah, and that goes for cryptid stuff and ghost stuff as well. Where it's like, look at this amazing evidence I found randomly on the internet. Sorry, that's not what I believe. I want it to be that. I want it to be true too. But
exactly.
You got to face fact about it.
Yeah, you got to debunk it.
All like UFO reports, and like 99% of them are explainable.
Right.
But there's that 1% that could be something different.
So Cass wants to know: do you watch sci-fi shows, or are you like nurses with medical shows and can't stand the inaccuracy? And if you do, what is your favorite?
I don't know what you mean as far as watching sci-fi shows. I don't really live in that world. No, it's I've always been a sci-fi nerd. Star Trek, Star Wars, all the shows.
Yes,
I'll check them out. I can't resist a good time travel story. That's my favorite.
So that's a plus. Hi, Firefly. Sorry about the bouncing around with the chat. We were having internet issues. Let's see here. I just don't want to miss out on somebody's question. Let's see. Hey, Ryan, how's it going? Okay, Russ, I probably wouldn't believe in UFO craft beyond human made if I didn't have an experience with me and a friend and a sister of the giant. Oh yes, I remember that giant orange orb. And it's actually the first time I've heard of anybody having that kind of an experience where it was a color. As far as an orb goes. So I wonder what that would have been. Orange. Interesting. Okay, then Mark says, a being in a different dimension could throw things that we won't be able to see them. They could take the object and move it into a different room in a locked cupboard. As to them, there is no barrier.
It sort of goes back to like the flatland thing that I was talking about earlier that Sagan did, where the apple that he put down could have been like inside the little outline of their little house. How did it get in here? The door is closed to our house. Things like that. When you're dealing with other dimensions, that doesn't matter. That there's a roof or walls or a door or anything like that. They can just kind of pop out and pop back in.
Right. Mr. Prison says, how do you imagine alien life to be? To me, it seems likely aliens would be drones / AI.
Probably our first contact kind of thing. Because, I mean, to go the pure science thing and to pretend like, we don't have stories about grays and stuff like that running around. I would imagine our first contact would be via a drone like that. Because, us ourselves, we've sent satellites and probes out all over our own solar system. If you're doing just like a mapping thing to see what's going on in a different solar system, you would probably just send an unmanned drone. There could be like some type of AI on there. And there's a very famous scientist who's come out with the idea of a von Neumann probe, where the probe goes out to this other solar system. It finds resources in that solar system, like in the asteroid belt or maybe even on another planet, where it can construct another version of itself. So it can keep going to a different star system, and the new one that it made, it can go in a different direction, and so on and so on and so on. So over a period of like millions of years, you'll have the entire galaxy charted out because you've got millions of these drones, self-replicating drones cycling all over space. So as far as what do they look like or anything like that, if you're born on a different planet with a different atmosphere, a different gravity, different everything from us, you probably wouldn't look like you or me, which is one of my problems with the grays and stuff like that, the stories about that. Anybody that tells me a story of any kind of sighting or a contact or anything, I generally, believe that they believe it. I may have issues but I'm never once going to tell them, you're wrong, you didn't experience that. I wasn't there. They were. It's their story. So I'm never going to take that away from them.
Right.
But I may have some questions, but there's I find it hard to believe that an entity from a completely different biome, a different everything, gravity, the whole everything, they shouldn't really look so much like us. 2 arms, 2 legs, fingers, toes, 2 eyes, all of that stuff. We don't even see that on our own planet, really. I mean, you can go, the chimp route and stuff like that, maybe, but there's still a lot of biological differences between us and them.
Oh, exactly. Well, that's what I have the argument with a lot of people. They say, well, if there is alien life, then why do they always say it's going to be like little green men? I said, well, you got to realize all the planets have different atmospheres. So
Right.
of course they have to be acclimated to that planet, not our planet. So why would they look like us?
We're all born and raised here, have been for many, many years. We have issues living from, if you lived on the coast and then you went to Denver, you're going to have a few days of headaches and disorientation just from the altitude of living in Denver versus living down at the coast. That's just on our own planet. How is something from a completely different planet with a completely different atmosphere? Yeah, they may be breathing oxygen and stuff like that, just like we do. But there's going to be a mix of other things in there as well that will be at different proportions to what we're used to, that would seem weird to them. To be like, dirty air, to them, kind of a thing. Like
right. And yes, I do agree. Peaky had mentioned in the chat that we can't be the only life that there is in.
Oh, there's no way.
And all existence, put it that way.
Yeah, just playing the math alone in our own galaxy.
Yeah.
We've discovered a lot of other planets around nearby star systems. We've looked at like thousands of stars around our local neighborhood. Every one of them has a certain number of planets, and some of them do have what's called the Goldilocks zone, where a planet's not so close to the sun where it would evaporate all the water off the surface, and not so far away that it would all freeze. So it has that happy spot where you have liquid water on the surface of the planet, which from our extensive study of one planet, Earth, that you have to have water for life to exist. So for what we consider life, you would have to have liquid water, and there's a few of those they're certainly within that range. There's some guesses that some of them may be Earth-like, and it may have an ocean on it and things like that. That's something we're still working on the details and getting that out. But there's certainly some possibilities just within our local neighborhood of like a couple thousand that we've looked. There's hundreds of thousands of stars, millions and millions of planets, around them, and that's just in our own little local, our own galaxy.
Right.
Just playing the odds, even if everything about us being here and talking on our internet to each other from across the world, the chances of that happening somewhere else would be pretty high. I feel at least once more somewhere.
Right. Yeah, like what Firefly says that, but who's to say that every life form is going to need water and air? They might need dirt and carbon monoxide.
That's true.
Yeah, that's very, very true. And then we've got a serious question from Rob. How does Enzo believe the theory that aliens live deep in our oceans?
Well, it's a really good place to hide because we can't get down there to snoop around to see if they're down there. We have more cartographing. We've mapped more of the surface of our moon and Mars than we have of our own oceans, because it's just super deep. We can't go that deep, and even with super pressurized submarines and stuff like that, it's really tough. Because if you think about, if you've ever washed your car in the summer, you fill up that 5-gallon bucket full of water to go out there and wash it. How heavy is that 5-gallon bucket of water? Pretty
exactly
heavy. Now imagine a few thousand feet of those stacked on top of your head. That's the crushing depth that you would have from all angles now. by diving deep into the ocean. And we just don't have even the mechanical stuff, water type drones can only go down so far until the water just crushes it. And so if you have the technology where that's not an issue, hiding out down there would be great. They can do whatever they want. There's no way we can find them or get to them. So
that's completely true. There's no way we don't even know what's down there. So they could be
just imagine the deep ocean is just full of monsters. There's just giant squid that's gonna eat in, megalodons running around.
Well, that's what they're kicking around now, is that the existence of the megalodon existing still. Because of what they're finding.
There's been a few ideas. It was several years ago, but they put a tag on a great white shark.
Yep.
And they were tracking its temperature and its heartbeat and all this stuff, and it's where it was and all that stuff. And suddenly it went like really, really deep for whatever reason, and then it started getting really hot. And then it moved off like even deeper, like that a shark normally wouldn't. Normally, they've never seen that happen before. What they think has happened is something basically ate it and ate the transponder thing that they had on it. And the reason why it got so hot is because it was being digested.
Yeah.
And inside whatever it was that ate the great white, which was already pretty big. So
I'm sorry, Wayne, if I missed your question, post it again, please, so I can see it. I'm sorry I missed it. Let's see. Oh, and also, Steph, I didn't miss your question. Steph wanted to know what your thoughts on Bigfoot.
I think it, much like, ghosts and UFOs, there's a lot of people that have seen some strange things out in the woods. And I'm not a deep woodsman at all. I just don't want to get a tick on me. But it's one of those things that I have friends because I live in Kansas, and the group that I normally do all of my stuff with, Border Town Paranormal, they live in Caney. They're based out of Caney, Kansas, which is right on the Oklahoma border. Oklahoma has a lot of Bigfoot stories and stuff like that. They keep inviting me on there, and I keep coming up with an excuse not to go. not that I'm scared. It's just I need to get my fat ass in more shape before I start schlepping around out in the woods. They go out deep, they go miles. They go hiking out in like a mile deep in the middle of nowhere. Like,
Enzo will be like, "I'll wait here. I'll meet you on the way back."
I'll be the one that the old story is like, I don't have to be faster than Bigfoot. I just have to be faster than the slowest person. I'm the slowest person in that scenario.
So you're the bait.
That's right.
Let's see. Sage wants to know, what was the one thing that amazed you about Atlas?
It was, you could certainly attribute chance and just coincidence to like the angle it came in at, and the alignment on the ecliptic plane was perfect, and stuff like that. That sun facing tail is super weird. There's been a couple other things where it's changed colors like 3 or 4 different times in the short time that we observed it, which means there's different materials on there coming out and interacting with charged particles from the sun. We've never seen a comet do that, but to be fair, this is from outside of our neighborhood, so who knows what it may have picked up out there in the gulf of space where they're between stars, because wherever it started from and for it to get here would had to have been on the scale of billions of years to travel the gulf between whatever star it came from to end up here.
There you go. Okay.
That in itself is kind of amazing.
Mark wants to know, I always wondered if the Greys are already on Earth and not aliens at all, but live in places deep in the Earth or oceans.
That's a pretty popular theory, which would explain why they kind of look similar to us, because they were raised in the same biome that we were. there's other people that are like, no, they're time travelers. They're from like the far, far future, and stuff like that. They could just as easily also be from some parallel dimension. There's a million different things to explain what they're doing here and not why they're here exactly.
Right.
It's not to kill or eat us because they'd have done it already. I feel if that was the case, if that, just from the technology they have alone, they could have wiped us out a long time ago if that's what they wanted to do.
Exactly. Exactly. Pinky says, could Bigfoot be an alien with hiding abilities?
Could be. Could be an interdimensional, like I was mentioning before, where he just hops out, hops back into where, those, there's the idea of, like the missing 401 stuff, where it's interdimensional stuff can come into it, where you have certain areas that have thin areas, which might be like why certain areas have more UFOs or more Bigfoot or more ghosts in a very concentrated, or all three in a very concentrated area, like Skinwalker Ranch and Mount Shasta, and several other places. There's a few places down around Caney, Kansas that certainly act that way because they get it all around there. They got the UFOs, they get cryptids, they get Bigfoot and other things that aren't cryptids that aren't Bigfoot. All that kind of stuff around there too. Over the years, it's pretty wild.
Pretty interesting. Yeah. Wayne wants to know, if a UAP is flying faster than the speed of sound, then why can't we hear it as it's breaking the sonic boom? How is this possible?
Popular opinion about it is of course, anytime we see a UAP, whether it's a flying Dorito shape or a classic 50 saucer or just a cube or a tic tac or whatever the shape is, you never see engines on them like you would see with any of our aircraft. It's just this smooth surface, and it's darting around and making all kinds of going full out and then coming to a full stop and making a 90-degree turn. Things that our aircraft couldn't do. Things that our pilots, if they were in it, couldn't do. And even like hardware stuff where it's pulling thousands of G's just making these right angle turns would just bend and warp any kind of metal and certainly turn any kind of pilot into a smear on the back wall. If you can imagine like a Star Trek warp drive kind of an idea where you're warping space-time around your ship, you're not really moving the air, you're moving space itself. So it's not pushing air to where it would have air resistance and have a sonic boom by breaking the sound barrier and stuff like that. Same for when it goes into the ocean and doesn't leave a splash. Or there's been a lot of USOs, underwater submerged, unknown submerged objects, I guess I should say, that people from the Navy and others have said these things are moving hundreds of miles an hour under the water. Our fastest attack nuclear submarines might top out at 40 miles an hour underwater. Something moving 200 plus, that's well beyond any of our technologies for anyone on the planet.
Right.
So if you throw in maybe they're warping space-time around them to project themselves, that would also explain why they can make those high-speed right-angle turns, because for them, they're kind of inside that warp bubble, we'll use the Star Trek term. So things from the outside of that won't affect them. No inertia, no gravity, no wind resistance, no pushing air or water out of the way, causing splashing or causing sonic booms by pushing. Because that's what a sonic boom is when you're pushing so much air in front of your aircraft, it actually compresses to the point where
it makes the sound.
But it makes that very loud sonic boom sound because it's pushing that air, compressively out of the way.
Okay, Rob says, it definitely ain't humans flying them so-called crafts. We couldn't stand the G-force.
Yep, it would be even the slightest maneuvers that have been reported by witnesses. It'd be worse than blacking out. You'd just be a puddle in the back on the floor.
Mush. Yeah, total mush. My question is do you ever think that, again, using the Star Trek term there is warp drive. Do you ever think that the human race will ever reach that capability?
Oh, sure. There's a lot of like theory craft about how to do exactly that. The Alcubierre drive, which that's kind of like the same idea as what Star Trek does, where it's compressing space time in front of the ship and expanding it behind it. So basically, it's like it's sliding downhill. Is kind of an idea.
Wow.
We don't know exactly how to do that or the immense amount of energy that would be required to bend space-time like that. Uh, you could combine every nuclear power plant on the planet and still not have enough. It would require like the total power output of our sun to probably even come close to reaching that level of ability. So that's eventually I would imagine that's something, sure, in thousands and thousands of years, we could probably come up with something like that, but that's not something that we could come up with on our own today.
So we're going to miss out on it. Shit. So
yeah, sorry. Unless someone that already has it comes by and just gives us one.
Right. That would be awesome. Yeah. Because I've heard a lot of other people say, well, no, it's not possible. That kind of space travel is not possible. But I'm thinking, no, I don't know. It's funny how I always compare it to like Star Trek, because they're always everything that you've seen in that series or the movies, we have already begun or have.
Oh, yeah.
At this point, in some form.
This is way better than what Spock and Kirk used on the show.
Yeah.
their communicator. This is way better than that.
So it is really strange. Okay, Steph says, question, what is the strangest thing you or someone you trust have experienced?
Strangest thing. For me, because I've seen 2 UFOs myself, once when I was a little kid and another one when I was a little older in 1999 here in Wichita, Kansas. That particular one, what we would probably call today like a black triangle. But what I saw was a little different. It was completely black. There was no lights or anything on it. The only reason I knew it was even there, that it was something solid, is it was blocking stars as it was sliding overhead.
Oh.
That was pretty strange because because at first I was like, okay, my eyes are gone screwy. Am I seeing something? I think it was like, because I was near like the downtown area of Wichita, which has a ton of lights. I think whatever it was low enough to where the lights were sort of lighting the bottom of it a little bit. I still, even today, I don't know 100% that it was actually a triangle shape. It just the way that, because I'm an astronomy nerd. And so that's how I was able to kind of track where it was, because I'm looking at stars ahead of where I thought it was moving, and then they're just gone.
Wow.
I got the impression it was a triangle. Basically, the way that they disappeared is it. What I saw, I don't think it was. If it was a triangle shape, the front of it as it was moving was one of the flat sides of the triangle, because that's what it looked like as the stars were disappearing, and they tended to reappear like the pointy end of the triangle was at the back of it as it
right.
So, which I know sounds weird. All of it sounds weird, but that's what I saw.
That's what you saw. Pretty cool. Hey, Friday, welcome in. He says, once they perfect the teleporter, DoorDash will be bankrupt. No, actually, if the food replicator, then everybody's
the replicators
are all screwed.
How easy would that be? Just a program. It's like pizza, taco.
Well, it would be perfect for like people that maybe hate to go shopping. So you just, you just right there. It'd be just awesome.
You would have to program it to where, like with like a password protection kind of thing or something, where it would only allow you so many calories per day.
Yeah,
because you would just sit there just shoveling in the most unique cuisine in your mouth as fast as you can.
No Klingon food though. We're not eating anything.
No cock, no worms.
Yeah,
that's bait. That's what you use to catch other food.
That's what I'm saying too. Yeah.
Put that back in the live well.
We're just letting everybody know how much of nerds we are, Enzo. Most of them probably don't even know what that we're talking about.
Oh my God.
Yeah. What has been your favorite thing you've investigated going into lurk mode so she can get dinner together? Okay. What has been your favorite thing to investigate?
I had a friend that sent me a picture that she's like, I don't know what this is. Like it looked, was something on fire, like a plane was on fire and it crashed. And she sends me this picture of a very thick, like a contrail that it looks like it's pointed straight down. It was off to the west. It was late in the afternoon. So the way that the sun was hitting, it was all glowing, yellow, orange, and all of that stuff. And she told me exactly where she took the picture from, the exact GPS type coordinates, exact time of day, all of that stuff. And I was able to track down using various online sources, like live radar 24 and stuff like that, which I have like the silver package, which allows me to look backwards 3 months. And this was like a month before. And I was able to figure out it was just a high flying civilian aircraft that just happened to be going over and leaving a contrail behind it right at sunset, which gave it this super weird glow to it the whole time. And because she was like, I'm looking on the news, trying to figure out, did a plane crash? What's going on? And I don't know if you've ever seen Flight Radar 24. It's a pretty wild program.
So, wow. Yeah, let's see what that is. I've never seen it. Yeah, Ian says that, manned flight wasn't possible at one point. Then decades later, we went to the moon, allegedly.
Allegedly.
I believe we were on the moon.
This is Flight Radar 24. You can see these are live aircraft going through here that you can click on. It'll tell you exactly what that flight is. Say a Southwest airliner going from Denver to Jacksonville. You can see the path that it took.
Wow.
All of these other things you see are all planes. These are all planes in the air live right now. All these little yellow little plane figures. And
my God. That's a lot. Oh my God.
Yeah, we could go out to
I didn't think they would be that many. Oh my God, look at that.
Here's the world. You can see like up here, flights from flying this narrow air corridor from Alaska down here to where's that, Korea? Somewhere in Japan.
Wow, that's amazing.
And you can, like I said, you can just zoom in and just pick one, see where it's at. This one's coming from Taipei to Sapporo, going to Japan there.
Holy crap. I never even knew
that. And you can break it down to tracking just military craft. Do that. We'll snoop around and see what's going on. We got some military craft. What do we got here? Oh, the good old KC-135. That's one of the planes that refuels other planes in the air.
Right.
I worked on those for 24 years while I was in the Air Force. That was my job, was work on those. And looks like it's flying pattern work, because you can see it's doing these circles here. It's doing pattern work around Lincoln, Nebraska there. Because I think we have an International Guard base up there. Because pilots are required to do so many approaches and landings every month just to keep, get their time in and keep their training up to date. So sometimes you'll see certain planes that they're just flying circles in the sky. And then they'll team up with like whoever the co-pilot is. They have to do the same thing. And then they'll halfway through the flight, they'll get up and swap seats. So then they can get their time in.
Oh, yeah, we're always seeing huge planes, military planes flying over here. I don't know what the hell they're doing, but
because you're up in New York.
And I assume they're going to Rome. Of course, I could be wrong. They could be going, I don't know. I'm thinking it's like the big, huge, like military cargo planes. I don't know. They're huge.
Probably. Here's KC-46. That's the new tanker. What else we got? There's a C-17. That's one of the big cargo planes. Took off out of somewhere in Maryland. How is that? But anyways, I was using this mode to track where the Chinese spy balloon was a few years ago, if you recall that, because some of our RC-135s reconnaissance aircraft, I saw where they were and where like there were tankers refueling them. So it's like, okay, he's got to be right around that balloon's right around there. They're just doing circles around it.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. I just had no clue that there would be that many flights.
A lot.
And one time. Wow, it's amazing. Yeah, Friday says that the food replicator would have a subscription. When you run over your calories, you get rice cakes till the next day. You know, I don't laugh too much about that because you know the government's trying to rule what we eat and what we don't eat. And I guarantee you that would be the catch. Oh, let's see. We have flight trackers here, and it's brilliant as ours can go on so close that you know what there are at the gate on arrival. We can also track all of our snow plows and glitters at the same time. Oh, I never knew that was on there. That's so amazing. Because you figured that, hey, Dave, I don't know if I said hello. Welcome. You figured that would only be, information that would be for just, air traffic control people and military and all of that. I didn't think it would be privy to the public.
It kind of has to be because there are still like smaller craft that are flying visual flight rules. They probably don't even have a transponder. Although it's pretty easy today to actually use your cell phone as a I think that's some stuff that they've been doing because they're not flying super high or very fast. Those like smaller single engine aircraft that are just going, maybe 100 miles, something like that. They don't necessarily have like a direct contact with like local towers and stuff like that. So you kind of need to be able to track where everything is. And this is one of those processes. And, certainly like the military aircraft, all those military aircraft that we just saw on that, it's because they're doing like training missions or stuff like that. If they were doing their job, like, you wouldn't, a couple of weeks ago down in Venezuela, you wouldn't be able to track what they were doing down there. They would turn that transponder off from the regular rail. But they are required by law to have it on when they're doing their normal stuff, when they're outside of their training areas or just going from point A to point B for that very reason. So everybody can see, because you saw how many planes were on there. How do you keep them from running into each other? Because they're tracking all of them like that.
Right. Well, like say we're bringing in like 9/11 where they lost the planes because those guys shut that down. So, but I just had no clue that there was so many in the air all at once.
A lot.
Wow. Just that really kind of blows my mind. Mr. Prism wants to know, Enzo, what's your favorite plane? I'm a B-1B guy.
That's actually the tech, especially for the time for the P1, was pretty amazing. It got political when they were building it because it cost a lot of money, and then they shut it down and then they restarted it. But then they had some other people come in to build that didn't build the computers for them to do the software. So it was kind of a mess for a long time. But B1's a pretty slick aircraft. Its wings can sweep back. So it can go very, very fast.
Wow.
There's like F-14s, like you saw Tom Cruise flying in Top Gun. It had its wings would swing back like that, and it's fast when they do that.
Amazing. Hey, welcome in, Big Ben. How are you? Let's see. Pinky says, "Does Enzo have a YouTube channel?"
I'm working on it. I'm the plan is I want to do like a Friday night type, just casual hangout type show with me, a ghost person, a cryptid person, and like a UFO person, which I guess probably could be the UFO person. But we just sit and talk about things that have been going on over the last week, or do like what we're doing now, where we just take questions from the audience and tell some tall tales of our own adventures and things that we have coming up that we would like to do or want to do and things like that. Just kind of a hangout show. I'm having a problem getting enough people that have a Friday night free. That's a problem.
I get you. Yes, because I know Karen and I were always saying that to you, Enzo. You need to start your
I've
own
been hearing it for
channel.
years. Even if that doesn't necessarily materialize, I am going to, because I've been working again. I've been saying for like the last 2 years about my stupid travel van, the adventure van that I'm building. I am going to go and do a lot of things with that, where there will at least be pre-recorded videos on there of some of the things I've done on that.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. The van adventures. We gotta get into that. So let's
So,
see. Oh, Big Ben says I always see Enzo normally with Karen. Yes, he's normally with Karen. We
I
stole him this
know
time.
I can actually speak without Karen cutting me off. It's I can do that. Love you, Karen. It's just a joke.
We do love Karen, but yeah, at least you got the floor is yours, Enzo. Hey, Super Turk, how are you?
I'll be laying on it very soon.
Yeah, he's still working on it. Oh, here's Friday House. Our tech guy wants to know, what are your thoughts on radio signals from space?
We've been getting a lot of those lately, and not. They usually end up being something that, like some undiscovered quasar or something like that, that's a bazillion light years away, that we didn't know about. So that's cool. We've got that. I think they're still trying to figure out where, like, these random bursts of energy that from different places, they're not coming from like one place. It's like pops up here. It's like basically it'd be like if you had like your radio, like a walkie-talkie, and you just started transmitting and then turned it off, and then you drove a mile away and you turned it on, and stuff like that. It's like we're picking these up, but they're kind of like all random. So it's got to be like a natural thing. It's not like there's 20 different alien species all clicking the button and then not saying anything all at the same time. So
breaker.
yeah.
Outer space CBs. Let's see. Steph wants to know, did you ever use Skyglass to track flights?
Skyglass? No, I'm not familiar with that one. There's back when I was in the air, I was in the Air Force for 24 years. I worked on aircraft. I worked on KC-135s, as I mentioned earlier. So I guess that would be my favorite plane. But for a while, I worked in one of our control centers where we were monitoring all of our aircraft all over the world. And we had something similar to that program I just showed you. But other than that, that's kind of it.
So, yeah, Friday says, yeah, fast radio bursts.
Fast radio bursts. Yeah, that's what they were.
Oh, Karen. Hi, Karen. We stole Enzo. I'll return them all in good shape. I promise. So have you what kind of signals has been picked up?
Well, the classic is referred to as the wow signal, which was back in the late 70s, early 80s. I don't remember the exact date, where because there's SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, which is doing basically what we're talking about. They're listening on all these different radio frequencies for alien signals, right. Someone from another planet transmitting something out. And the wow signal was like this area of space where there wasn't anything there, where it was dead silent. And for several seconds, this off the charts signal that of course it's like on a spreadsheet thing, that right. shows where the signal is. And it was such an unknown and so crazy. The guy who was recording it wrote wow next to it. And so it became known as the wow signal. But then it stopped. So if it was some extraterrestrial civilization someplace transmitting something, it wasn't like a hello message to us. Because if for someone, like, say there was because we've been transmitting radio frequencies since the late 30s, for stuff with any kind of power where somebody outside the solar system might have heard it. It would probably not be by the time it would get even to the closest star, they'd have to really be looking for it to discover it. But we've had other technologies since then that are throwing out a lot of energies that could be picked up by nearby stars. So if one of them decided to transmit something back, they'd have to do it over a long period of time, because if we've only got like one antenna, aimed at a specific point in the sky, even if you're doing it like a giant section of the sky, it would have to be at least whatever one revolution of our planet is, so that we're getting a 360-degree kind of a view of the universe. And to pick up that one signal that happens to be coming from this way, it would have to be transmitting for way longer than that, or even if we're on the opposite side of the sun when they send it. So any kind of message like that that's being sent out for us to hear would have to be going on for several months.
Oh, because I was thinking maybe years, but okay, months. Yeah,
and even then,
right,
it could be that.
As far as signal goes, what is it? Just noises, or
it's radio transmissions. It's various spikes and various frequencies and stuff like that. It's not like it's like an amplitude kind of a thing where you're going to hear the baseball game on Caraxis 3 or something like that. It's just a burst of high frequencies in a very specific band that doesn't correlate with other natural radio sources like exploding stars or quasars. There's natural things out. I mean, even like something as big as Jupiter, it's putting out like a radio signal. It's super weak. You wouldn't pick it up from another star system, but so there's a lot of things out there that have something in the radio band, and that's like all frequencies.
Right. Friday says, never trust a video that says they have an audio from WOW signal. That was never recorded. It was just a signal strength reading.
Exactly.
Very, very interesting. Exactly. Super Turk thinks that they are already among us. You could be right.
You walk down the Las Vegas Strip at 3 a.m., you will certainly be non-humans walking around.
Pretty scary, huh?
Yeesh. That's not from Earth.
I've never experienced that, thank goodness. Let's see, Big Ben says, is it possible those wow noises is just interference from other tech in space, like satellites, radio, or the space station? I said it backwards almost.
That's the most likely candidate because it was so short. If it was some other civilization, the only I have heard this is something that would like be easily picked up by some other star system would be something like the transmissions that we use here for tracking like long range missiles and stuff like that, like NORAD has and stuff like that, because that's just sending out radar beams basically that go out, they hit something and come back, but it's over a very giant distance, so it's a very strong signal, which potentially some other star system that happened to be along that path that it's being transmitted could hear it. So that could explain something like that, where it wasn't really meant, they weren't trying to talk to us, we just happened to catch it. Or because like I have apps on my phone that track satellites, so that if I'm outside and I see something weird, I run it against that plane tracker. I run it against my little tracker for satellites and stuff like that to try and verify what it is. And if it doesn't meet any of those, it's something else. But there are satellites that are basically spy satellites or classified satellites that aren't in any of those databases. And if they were, just happen to be in that a lot, they're looking at this very narrow section of the sky looking for a signal, and it just happens to go by and it happens to transmit something at that point where they intercepted it. They would never admit. They would never tell them what it was, because that means they would have to identify, that was one of our super secret spy satellites. What? Right. How many do you have of those?
Exactly.
It leads to too many more questions. So you're going to be that. Yeah. If you're going to play the most likely possible thing for the WOW signal. It's easier to believe that it's one of our spy things around our own planet than the odds of it being somebody from many, many light years away accidentally sending us a short burst signal that we just happen to catch.
Okay, and then Wayne is
I'd love for it to be like, hey, let's chat. Unless it's Pluribus. We don't want to do the Pluribus. Have you seen that show?
No.
That's how the show starts, is they receive a radio transmission from 600 light years away. And it's just like a series. It's like a 4-tone type signal. And they figure out that it's an RNA sequence. So they start messing with it and experimenting with this RNA sequence that they sent, experimenting on rats. And one of the rats bites a human, and now she's infected with it. And she starts infecting everybody. Basically, it creates, they're going around in secret and infecting people in certain places across the world, to where everybody on the whole planet at the same time gets infected with this RNA, replicating RNA sequence, to where everybody's like the Borg. They're all a hive mind.
Oh,
they all have the same, there is no except for 12 people on the entire planet. For whatever reason, they were immune. And the story follows this one lady. Well, it follows a few of the others eventually, once they all be, because it's all over the world.
Wow.
It's a pretty wild show. It's done by Vince Gilligan, the same guy that did Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad and all that. So it's really good. To be fair, it's a little slow paced, but that's kind of my only complaint with it. But yeah, it's still a good show.
Yeah, no, haven't seen that one.
I think that's Apple TV, I think.
Oh, I'll have to look into that. Yeah. Wayne just wants to let you know that you are fantastic, one of the best guests ever.
Thank you so much.
So let's get caught up here. Battle cry, so it's powerful echoes. That battle cry is so powerful it echoed through time and space. I missed something there. Excuse me. Let's see. And hopefully I didn't miss anybody's thing. The problem with that, the problem is it was around the hydrogen line that was around 1.420 gigahertz. So let's see. I must have missed something. Sorry about that, guys. Just let me scroll through there really quick, see if I can pick up whatever I missed. If I missed what you guys are chatting about, just hit me up again. I think it's nice that Karen is lurking. She's just making sure we're taking care of Enzo.
she heard me badmouth her earlier. So
you're in trouble. You're in trouble.
Again.
Oh,
we're actually scheduled to meet up in real life later this year.
Oh, that'll be great. That'll be great. Have a great night, Cass. Thanks for joining us.
Spending the 4th of July.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Oh, we have come up.
Yeah, safe. Will you have anything coming up?
End of May, I will be traveling, van ready or not, to Southern California for Contact in the Desert, which is big. It's the big UFO conference get together kind of thing, and I have a bunch of friends that are all going to be there. And I didn't go last year because I was saving money for the van project, but yeah, be good to see them again.
So actually, why don't you explain to because most people here don't know what your van project is and the purpose of it.
Oh, basically, because I'm an astronomy nerd, kind of first and foremost, but where I live is I live right outside of Wichita, Kansas, which is about 300,000 people, and the light pollution from that blots out nearly half of my sky because I live so close. So my option is to find a house out in the middle of nowhere, which would be very expensive to live and do all that, or I can put together my own travel van kind of thing, basically a van with a place for me to sit down and do computer work and a bed and a fridge and some supplies or whatever, and a giant power system to run it all, to where I can just go wherever I want. I don't have to worry about getting a hotel room. I don't have to worry about spending money on some creepy hotel out in the middle of nowhere where it's got bed bugs or whatever else. I'll have my own bed bugs in my van that I don't have to worry about. And all that, but it's just a little camper vanish kind of thing, to where I can go do my own adventures. Because I'm one of those people. I'm weird like this. I actually enjoy driving cross country and stuff like that. Listen to books on tape kind of a thing, or audio books, I guess would be called today, and just getting caught up on things like that. I enjoy it. It's kind of like, that's just driving along with the cruise control and you're out on the highway. I just get into this like Zen state of driving. I'm not falling asleep or anything like that. It's just, I'm at peace doing that. And when I'm traveling, you know how when you're driving, it's like, oh man, it'd be kind of cool to stop and check out. It's a petrified forest. I'd like to go check that out someday. I could just pull over and check it out, because I'm retired. I don't work. So you can just stop off and go see whatever I want, whenever I want. So
yeah, exactly. Mr. Prism wants to know, what is your opinion on Mick West and his debunks?
Mick West, I've actually chatted with Mick West a couple times from some of my other past YouTube experiences. He's actually hilarious. He's a very funny guy, not afraid to joke about things. I feel like he doesn't like mess around, and he certainly doesn't sugarcoat anything. He just goes straight in with no, what you're seeing is this, which Enzo and I, as I mentioned earlier, I've had people send me stuff, email me things that, this is it. And it's like, no, it's not. And then they get all pissy and mad, much like how people do with Mick West. There have been some incidents with Mick West where he didn't quite get things exactly right, but it's those are few and far between. He's kind of fallen into this like evil debunker. It doesn't believe anything or whatever. Yeah. It's like, he will be the first to tell you, it's like, I don't know what that is. He'll just say, I don't know. But that's definitely whatever.
Right.
And the thing is we kind of have to be honest about a lot of this stuff. There's always something like for the ghost side, and really any the ghost side, the Bigfoot side, the UFO side, blurry picture that could be anything. And people are seeing faces and out of focus stuff and things like that. And that applies to any of the three things, the three different areas of the paranormal. You got to be realistic. It's probably not. It's like an out of focus something, it could be a plane or whatever, but it's so out of focus, we'll never know what it was, that kind of thing.
Oh, that's the thing. It kills me with the camera technology that we have today, and nobody can take a good picture.
Well, I mean, to be honest, like specifically for like UFOs, this was not designed to take pictures of a pinpoint of light in a completely black sky that's moving and try and like autofocus on it and stuff like that. There are settings you can do to your phone to where it'll kind of correct a little bit for that, but this was designed for selfies and cat videos. It wasn't really designed for taking pictures of interstellar craft at speed and altitude.
Right. That's true.
Or dispirited interdimensional beings creeping around in a basement of an old house somewhere, or hiding behind a tree, peeking out from behind a tree in the deep woods. Oh, so many random pictures of just brush and trees and leaves and rocks.
Yes.
Do you see all the faces? There's a face here and there's a face there.
I've been fooled because I've done a few cemetery pictures, and you see the tree line in the background. You're like, what the hell is that in the trees? And when I would blow it up, and I'm thinking, oh my God, it looks like there's somebody in there, and then it's the leaves. So you get that pareidolia really. takes over.
Pareidolia messes with a lot of people,
Wow.
and people really get wrapped up in it and get super mad when you say, I don't think that's what that is, which is where Mick West gains a lot of his reputation, because he's super flat out. Part of it is just his British disposition. It's just the way, this is what it is.
Truth is
and
truth.
Just very super matter of factly, which if you're sensitive about that's like your holy grail picture and he just crapped all over it, you're going to get kind of mad about it. And you're going to, he's just being an insensitive jerk. He don't know what he's talking about.
Exactly. Well, yeah, you hurt their feelings. We all go through that because you're so want it to be what you're looking for, and and if you're a good investigator, you're going to pick it apart. Sure. So it's we're just as disappointed. Friday wants to know if you've ever made contact with ET in person. What would be your first question to them?
Why are you here? Whoa.
Say, why me, man? Why me?
But this is actually along something that we talked about before the show about making contact with ETs. I've been seeing a spate of stories online about people that are using these CE5 type techniques for CE5. That's like Close Encounters, version 5. Close Encounters 1, is seeing a light or a craft in the skies. Close Encounters 2 is you find some evidence from that craft where, burn mark on the ground or landing pad marks, or knocked a tree limb out of the tree when it zipped away. Close Encounters of the third kind, of course, just like the movie, is where you see, the denizens of these craft out running around. 4 would be basically like an abduction type. So you're on the craft. And then CE5 is basically a technique of meditation and projecting out your goodwill that you would like to contact the people flying these craft, and where if you might see something, you can ask them to do things like, hey, can you stop? Can you flash your lights? Can you drive in a circle or a triangle or something like that? And there's been a spate of people that have been using this CE5 type technique, and in the following weeks are having poltergeist like activity in their homes, and things like things go missing and turning up in impossible places, that kind of shenanigans,
right?
Stuff like that. Very much like getting the hitchhiker effect, where you drag something back from a haunted location or something like that.
Right.
And I don't know how safe that is, because I don't want to wake up at 3 a.m. with Grays standing at the foot of the bed.
Yeah,
as much as I'd like to have a conversation, let's do it on office hours, boys.
Right. Well, our intentions might not be the same as theirs, so that's the scary part.
The question to answer Friday House's question is, it would just be a shotgun of questions. Who are you? Where do you come from? What are you doing here? How long have you been here?
All right.
Why are you talking to me? I'm a nobody. That kind of thing.
So, yeah, pretty much what I probably would have asked. Well, I mean, they would go after like you, or somebody like Friday who's got the backgrounds that you've got. So you'd probably be the first choice, because you have the intelligence maybe to understand what they would be telling you. Or just Joe Blow would be like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. So
it would being intelligent. I don't know if that is especially not my case. I'm a very good actor in that case, if that's what the impression is. But I think like actual contact with an alien civilization, not from Earth, they don't, all that stuff. I think it's going to be super weird, like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy weird, like Farscape weird, like just things that are just so goofy and strange, because it's not what we're used to. We've got this very limited view of what the universe is and what it's like.
Yeah.
It's certainly not going to be like Star Trek. Yeah. It's, oh, hello, open hailing frequencies.
Yeah,
hello,
the Vulcans aren't going to show up, right?
You know what? It's going to be super strange.
It would be nice if it was just, as easy as that, but I don't see it that way either. Say says you need to come to South Oregon, North Nevada, dark skies.
Actually, I'm going to be up when Karen's coming up. She's going to be up in Virginia City, which is out near Reno. So that.
Oh no, not now. Enzo froze. Don't start acting up now, internet. Hopefully he'll pop back. We were doing so well, too. Darn. I'm going to get caught up with all your questions as soon as we get Enzo back, guys. Steph's worrying about the bar. I know I'm behind a little bit. No, Enzo, please return to us. Oh. Let's see, Enzo. Oh, say I was listening. No. Where is he? He messaged me. My computer crashed. Oh no. Okay, guys, his computer crashed on him. So I told him that we would wait for him to reboot and get it rolling again. Let's see what happens. In the meantime, I'll do the best that I can. Let's see. I have a good, clear picture of an apparition caught on my mate's grandma's security camera. It was her husband's spirit. He passed of leukemia. Wow, that's amazing. I love to see photographs like that because it is amazing. And that's the thing. I do get people that do send me some photographs, and I do have to, you have to be honest. And a lot of them aren't too happy with what I say it could be. And of course, then you've got some people that like to try to pull the wool over your eyes. And when I'm in doubt and I don't know, then I send it out. And if people have better editing, masking skills than I do, usually tell me what's going on with it. It's Bill said, Steph, I've been watching. Some lady left her purse on the table, and the server had to tell her. Oh, a bunch of drunkies in that bar. Friday says Close Encounter 6 is when they come down and they take you out for Chinese. I'm game. Chicken and broccoli. Let's do it up. But yeah, Big Ben, I would love to see that photograph if you're willing to share that. That's awesome. And I do believe that, yeah, you can catch stuff on camera. Oh, there he is. There he is. Yay.
They locked onto my signal. They've tracked my location.
See, we're talking too much. We got to be quiet. This is a stage said, come back tomorrow, Grays. I'm busy. Yeah, we're busy. We're right in the middle of something.
Exactly.
How dare you?
Soon.
But yeah, let's see. I was saying how that where is it? Friday House says, yeah, Close Encounter 6 is when they come down and take you out for Chinese dinner.
Or maybe you are the Chinese dinner.
Oh, that's scary, right? You don't know what their diet is. And think of it that way. And Steph wants to know where that bar is. She needs to be there.
Oh, this place?
Yep.
This is in the St. John Virgin Islands.
Oh, nice.
It's a live. There's I think there's a band actually back there playing.
A long ways to go, Steph. Get your plane ticket.
Might have the stage cam. Yeah, it's a stage cam.
Nice. Let's see. Ben says, I've heard in documentaries from military personnel that the ETs, this type of skin, you can't touch them. Apparently their skin burns the human skin or does something to it.
Yeah, there's been a couple of stories about that, specifically the Varginha case down in Brazil. Is it Brazil? Where there was a spacecraft that crashed, and there was at least one, but possibly more, these aliens kind of running around the little village nearby. And one of the policemen spotted it and just kind of like grabbed hold of it and drug it into the car, and they sped away with it. And that person died horrifically much later. The one of the theories is, like, specifically like the Greys themselves. One of the theories about the Greys is they're not really they didn't really evolve like they are in some other world. They're kind of like a drone themselves. They're like a biomechanical type drone. They're an artificial construct. They don't have sex organs. They're super skinny, all that stuff. They don't really have a mouth with teeth or even ears or anything. Like, how does something like that evolve on a planet like that? It wouldn't. So it may be that, and supposedly since they don't really like eat or anything like that, like the way we think of it, I'm sure they ingest some kind of nutrients somehow.
Right.
But just to power themselves, they don't have like a full endocrine system or anything like that, and basically they're excreting their waste through their skin.
Oh.
And so if you were to basically come in contact with that, with your bare skin, if you had, especially if you had like a little cut or something like that and got infected, it would be horrific.
You're getting shit on.
You're being infected, and you're yes, alien shit at
it's
that.
Bad.
And and it's whatever bugs that are living in it, you have no defense against. Your body doesn't even know what it is. It doesn't even know it's getting attacked by it.
Oh, wow.
So that would be kind of bad.
See, I know. See the things you don't even think of. Wayne's question is, as the government has lied about things as such as Area 51, Project Blue Book, Roswell, that led to conspiracies that were true, then why would the public believe the government when it comes to the UAP?
It's a good question. I don't expect disclosure with a capital D to ever come from any kind of government thing. I think the only way we would get it is through what they call catastrophic disclosure, where someone that actually works on the inside, that has hands on, with a craft or alien bodies or whatever, and they have actual evidence that they can sneak out of wherever it is that they are, and they just release it to the internet and go on a live stream. It's like, I'm Colonel such and such from this place, and I've been working at this place for 20 years, and we've been contacting the Greys and the Tall Whites and the all blah blah blah, all of these guys from all over the place for all, like, since 1945, whatever the story really is. I don't expect it, because like it basically it's the government. It's really the intelligence agencies that are basically hiding it from our own legislators, people that, people in Congress, they vote every year for, this is how much goes out for the Department of Defense. Well, sorry, Department of War now, to, this much monies, but there's no accountability for it. It's just going out to, they can't come back. The government can't, or the military can't come back. And it's like, yeah, we spent X million on buying a new plane, and this is for parts for the plane, and this is a $700 hammer we needed for the plane, and a toilet seat that costs $5,000, whatever it is.
Right.
There's just billions of dollars that just go missing. Where does that go? And the people that are in charge of that, even if they have to be read in on something, they don't have to tell them everything. They have to say, okay, look, we got a secret project at this base where we have to have these kind of things. They may not necessarily tell them, yeah, we got a crash craft and we're keeping aliens hostage, telling us, beating on them to tell us how, their transporter works, because we want to eat ho-hos all day long.
Right. Exactly.
It's one of those things where and because the intelligence agencies, they're not elected people. They're there forever until they finally retire or die,
right,
or go missing. for not foreseeing something they weren't supposed to.
Right.
They view politicians as temporary people, especially the president. The longest they're going to be there is 8 years, and then they're going to be gone.
Yeah.
They're not going to tell them everything so that they can go blab it to somebody. That's how they view, the Congress and the Senate and the president is. They're going to get drunk at some party and blab all of these secrets anyways. We're not going to tell them anything unless we absolutely have to. And that's not just for UFOs. That's just like
anything.
For everything.
Right. Yeah. Sage wants to know, I wonder how much of UFO / UAP encounters are not a secret government tech we are not privy to.
Much like how I mentioned earlier, it's like 99% of sightings can be explained by something, but there's always that 1%. And out of that 1%, I would imagine there's probably a healthy chunk of that 1% that is some type of secret flying Dorito secret weapon program kind of a thing. Not all of
it. Yeah, just like Wayne says, Men in Black must preventing him from giving us information.
That's it.
Yeah, that's what it is. They're trying to shut Enzo down. But we like I said, where do you think Velcro came from?
That's it. Velcro and Post-it notes. That's what we learned from the Roswell crash. That's
right. So yes, definitely, I definitely need to be there. Well, he told you where it was. They were waving to us. They're having a good time. Okay, let me get caught up here. Yeah, we're getting snow, guys. Lucky us. Mr. Prism says, question, which UFO / UAP alien case do you consider to be likely true?
I have spoken personally with a few people that have their stories. Some of them I believe, some of them I don't, but I don't know. It's their story. But as far as like the more popular ones, the Betty and Barty Hill abduction case, I can't see why they would make that up. They were already in a place where it wouldn't have done them any good. It wasn't like they were trying to sell anything or make a buck off of it. That's usually kind of the dead giveaway if it's fake. Is they've got a book immediately and they've got charm bracelets with whatever or things like that, where they're trying to turn a buck off of it. But what's his name from Fire in the Sky? Just drew a blank on his name. Travis Walton. I've chatted with him before personally, and I believe his story. I believe it. Because honestly, for the kind of the same thing, he's certainly not a rich man. He hasn't like been swimming in money since that movie came out in 1993 or whatever it was. He still goes around and chats at the things, and his story is pretty much unchanged over the years.
Scary.
And his actual story, if you've seen the movie Fire in the Sky, that's not exactly what happened. Actually, I love the real version way better because if you're not familiar with it, Travis Walton was part of a lumberjack kind of team. They were they were building fire breaks. It was in Arizona somewhere. I forget where it was in Arizona, but they were coming home down off the mountain from working out in the field, and there's this big craft, shortly off the ground with, light pouring down out of it. And they're like, what is that? And Travis hops out of the back of the pickup truck and starts walking towards it. And he's got like 6 or 7 other, guys that are like, what are you doing? Come back, all that. And he gets too close to the craft. And the impression that the guys that were in the truck was that a beam shot out, hit him, and killed him. So they jump in the truck and haul ass down the mountain and go straight to the sheriff's office. It's like, this big ass thing up in the woods just killed one of our guys. Oh. And of course they're like, oh, it was a flying saucer, was it? The whole, the police, the sheriff's thinking they probably killed him himself, or maybe he was in an accident. They're trying to cover it up by saying a thing. They ended up going through many rounds of questions. All of them actually did lie detector tests, which they all passed, because they went up there looking for Travis and they couldn't find him. There was no signs of, this spaceship or whatever. And then a few days later, like in a town several miles away, he turns up and has to beg somebody for a quarter to call somebody. I think it was his wife he called. It's like, I don't know how I got it. I don't know what's going on.
Wow.
He was all disheveled. He had like 3 or 4 days worth of beard and was starving and had no food in him or water. He was severely dehydrated. And then he starts remembering. Basically, he comes awake on this table, and there's like several creepy grays around the table, and he's like, they tried to kill me. And he hops up and he slugs one of the grays.
Wow. Yeah.
And all the grays are like, okay, crazy human.
Send him back.
He has since realized that they probably saved his life. He was probably severely, he feels like he got too close to it'd be like walking around a running jet engine and walking around the back of it and getting blasted by something like that. There was maybe a static discharge or something like that when he got too close to it. It's kind of what he thinks it is. But he ended up running around the ship trying to find some switch to open a hatch to get the hell out of there. And then a human-looking alien came up and started chatting with him. And basically he kind of blacks out. They zap him again, I guess, or something like that. And then he comes to at the side of the road in this other town nearby.
Wow. Big Ben said they changed UFO to UAP because everyone was calling everything a UFO. So they separated that terminology to UAP. Either way, changing one letter ain't going to change the fact of what it is. I find it very confusing.
And that's by design. It's I still call it UFO myself.
So do I.
But, from my time in the military, they change the names fairly regularly on almost everything, especially like work center. I was doing the same job for the entire time, but even like the code for my career field changed over my 24 years, and the actual title of my job changed several times over the years. The places I worked worked in aircraft maintenance, working on planes. The name of that organization changed, all of that stuff. I think from a conspiracy, secrecy, whatever you want to call it, point of view, that just makes it more difficult for people to do investigations where they give me everything you have on UFOs that happened in 2021. Well, they call them UAPs now. So there is there's no records.
How
that kind of thing. Yeah.
Right. Oh my God. First, actually, I have to say I apologize to Super Turk. You were timed out by accident. And the mods apologize for that mistake. So sorry that happened.
Friendly fire.
It happens sometimes. Let's see. Betty has here. She says, "What do you think of the president back when nobody could found him? Came out and he was having a tooth pulled, and they say he was meeting with aliens." Excuse me. His daughter or relatives said he was meeting with aliens.
That's the story. That's he's talking about Dwight Eisenhower when he was president. He had he was in Palm Springs, I think, California, where he just kind of disappeared for like a day or so, and the press didn't know it, because they have groups of the press that basically shadow the president the whole time, even when they're like on vacation and stuff like that. Right. They'll have them nearby so that if something big happens, they can get his whatever his statement is about it. And that's who noticed that he wasn't around. Like, hey, where's Mr. Eisenhower at? I don't know. It's like, but the story is that he was meeting with. It was basically like a dignitary, first contact, kind of a situation where a couple saucers came down. These guys The story changes a little bit depending on who's telling it. Where there were basically like the tall white dude, the tall blonde Nordic type aliens came down. They're like, "Hey, look, we've got amazing tech. We want to share with you. We want to learn from you. You got to get rid of your nuclear weapons, though, or we're not doing anything. We're just going to get up and leave." And it's like, we're not the only country that has nuclear weapons. We need them as a defense against the Russians, who also have nuclear weapons. If we disarm, they're just going to attack us and kill us all. And they're like, "Sorry, can't help you. Deal's off." And off they flew. But a short time later, Grays showed up. It's like, "Hey, yeah, we'll give you some things, but we'd like to do some closer medical examinations on some of the humans around the planet, and we'll give you, basically some trinkets." And they're like, "I don't know. Well, what are you going to do to them?" So, "Oh, no, we're not going to kill them or anything. We just, take some blood samples, do some light probing, that kind of thing." Like, well, okay. Well, you need to tell us who it is and where they're from so we can track them and make sure they're okay. Okay. Supposedly, they didn't honor the deal. They just started abducting people all over the place and didn't give the administration much of anything in value in return for it.
Aha. They got duped.
Yeah, supposedly. This is just the tale. There's no evidence for any of this. That's basically the story.
You're right. Take it for what you will, guys. Welcome, Tim. If I didn't say hello, and hey, Octopus, how are you? And let's, I'll be right a snack. I've got to check it out. Thanks for sharing all of the links. I appreciate it, Pinky. Let's see. Yeah, Tim is at the verge of retiring. Good for you, Tim.
Good luck.
Enjoy. Yeah. Super Turk is my best friend, Brady. Oh, let her know, Dave, that it was a mistake. Terribly, terribly sorry. Tell her we apologize. It was a mistake. It happens. And that's the thing, is you don't know how to get a hold of them and say, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do it."
Yeah. At least it was just a timeout. You were able to come back.
Right.
Like a permanent ban or anything.
It's just like, oh, no. Mark wants to know thoughts on the Valiant Thor.
Valiant Thor is an amazing story. I kind of grew up in that area as a kid. I grew up in Ashland, Kentucky, which is a short drive away from where that's one of those. He's like at the core of a lot of super weird stuff that only happens in West Virginia. West Virginia is one of those super weird places where all the crazy stuff kind of happens. It's one of those hot spots. And the Valiant Thor is there's a couple different variations of some of those things. A lot of people kind of get it mixed up with other stories, the Smiling Man and all that stuff. But actual pictures of this person in government settings and stuff like that, pretty interesting stuff. But
all right, let's see. Ian says, "You think that the intelligence establishment would shield the actual president from meeting an entire different alien species?" You'd think. That's what I'm saying. That's probably just a big load. So it's
it was a different time too. Eisenhower's big, war hero and all that. He was kind of like a no nonsense guy. He's like, "I'm not afraid of some little green man." I can sort of see it. I'm like, what are they going to do?
Yeah, what are they going to do about it? Okay, Dave, thank you.
Not realizing, holy crap, they can disintegrate the entire planet.
It's pretty much. I mean, you got to think of it that way. I mean, the advancement that they have, nothing's keeping them from getting rid of it.
Disarm, we would never know it when they hit us, and it would have happened a long time ago.
All right, exactly, Wayne. We are the aliens ourselves. Yeah, we are to them. And there's more of them than probably
There's
us.
other stories that may say we may have started on Mars and we migrated to here.
But what do you think of that about Mars and what they're finding out that there is still water on Mars?
Oh yeah, that's what I don't get is when I was a kid growing up, in the '70s, watching Saturday morning cartoons on CBS. During the commercial breaks, they'd have like a kids in the news kind of segment,
Right.
and they would talk about uh, the Viking probes that we had on Mars at the time, where had like this big arm that would go out and scoop up sand and bring it back, and they would test it and stuff like that. And I distinctly remember them saying that during one of those tests, they found microbial life in it. And I cannot find it now at all anywhere.
Wow.
But even back then in the '70s, they're like, yeah, there's some water, maybe like deeper underground. There might be giant caverns of it. But now we've got like the Mars Reconnaissance satellite and stuff like that has a lot more detailed pictures of the surface of Mars, where you can see where it's like in the summer, where it's like seeping out of the sides of hillsides and cliffs and kind of running down in short periods. But the atmosphere is so thin it evaporates fairly quickly. So,
but what are your thoughts? Do you think that we might have started on a different planet and we were seated here?
The argument for it, I don't think so, because like genetically we're so close to other creatures on this planet, like kind of all of them. That if you find aliens came along and they had a blood sample of humans and a blood sample of zebras, they could see from the genetic structure that they would know that they were both from Earth. Kind of a thing.
Right.
Because everything on Earth kind of follows a similar DNA type structure. But I personally don't necessarily buy that. But that doesn't mean that maybe somebody else was, and they did come to Earth, and they've been living under our oceans or underground or something like that for a very long time, because they've found on the surface of Mars, I forget what the radioisotope is, xenon something or other. I don't remember exactly what it is, but it's one of these strange isotopes that it doesn't occur in nature. The only way it ever occurs is after a large nuclear explosion,
right?
Like an atomic bomb type explosion. And there's a lot of it radiating the surface of Mars. So somebody's been setting off nukes up there at some point in the past.
Isn't that something?
So there may be, once we can get exploration a little easier between the planets, we may need to have an exobiologist, an exoarchaeology type team to look for ancient sites of non-human intelligence that might be out there. We might find something else out there. It's a possibility.
Yeah, because there's all kinds of different stories now on how we got here, and yes, and Mars is always involved. So saying that Mars was that was a nuclear explosion, that was the mistake, and we ended up being seated here to start over again. Is pretty much the gist of the stories that I've been hearing. Friday says, what is the earliest known UFO account?
I'll pull up my favorite one. I personally like, I can pull it up here. Make it bigger.
Hi, Jimmy. I see you there.
Oh, God, that's way too big. Let me pull up my thing. I personally like this is what year was it? 1561 woodcut from Nuremberg, Germany, where basically they had these things back in those days where they would have like bulletin boards around the town, and they would do these woodcuts, which you're basically carving it in relief and then like kind of dipping it in an ink stamp kind of a thing and just stamp it on the paper and handwriting, like whatever. Basically, this is like an early version of a newspaper. And they would post these things like kind of like on bulletin boards around various parts of the town, heavily trafficked areas. So this is what's going on in Nuremberg. This is relating a story where the entire town saw this stuff, all of this shit you see here flying around in the sky over the city. And basically it was like the beginning. It was like the end sequence of the original Star Wars movie where these things are shooting at each other. One of them gets shot down. You can see this little thing right here where one crashed. You can see where it's caught everything on fire. And it was, this went on for a large part of the day, enough to where it was almost like it was covering the sun at one point. There were so many of these strange shaped cylinders and orbs and things like that, and like cross shapes flying around all overhead. And until a little later, this gigantic black, they call it like a spear point or a spearhead, comes in and just wrecks everything and wipes everything out and then zips away. And then it was over. It was all gone. Wow. Basically, they just saw this giant air battle over their head in 1561. And this is the only evidence that we have from it, is this story.
Well, there has to be some kind of truth to it, because how could that? I mean, what would make them make up something like that?
Exactly. How could you? Because, like I said, this is like the early, because this is all, of course, in all Germanic Latin. There's a translation. If you just put woodcut and UFO, this will pop right up. Wow. And so, some of these they did like, because it was like just like an outline for the woodcut part, and then they would get fancy and color them all in for like a couple of them in like some of the big high traffic areas, or like outside of like the town hall kind of a thing, that kind of business. And so then you have to ask yourself, why would they make up something bananas? Because there's not evidence of other crazy stories of there's not even like stories from the mythology of the day. There's not 5 men were attacked by elves out in the county area here, or fairies attacked this person, or don't follow the will-o'-the-wisp into the swamps. That it was nothing like that in there in any of those. But then you got this. What the hell is this?
Right. Chaos in the skies. Yeah, that's amazing.
But that's one of my classic favorites. And there's other stories out there from like ancient Egypt stuff, some strange iconography in some of the paintings and wall sculptures and stuff like that.
Right.
The one that shows like a helicopter and a tank, I don't believe that one is what, aliens from the 1980s
right
visited, I guess, with the that one I'm not a big fan of, but
hey, you never know.
This one I like.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, it's very interesting. Because that's the first thing how would they come up with something like that?
Right. Because they had no concept of like flying vehicles or anything like that back in those days.
So yeah, very, very interesting. Mark wants to know how possible could life have gone into the depths of Mars underground?
How possible could life have gone into the like just buried underground, or going into cave systems and stuff like that?
You have to
I guess it'd be the same as anywhere else, like on Earth. I mean, I'm sure that especially like if there's water, because we know that there's water underground. If you probably could go into not anywhere, but probably in a lot of places, a lot of low-lying areas, you could probably just dig down a couple of feet and find a layer of water in there, almost like a permafrost layer kind of a thing.
Right.
And there's probably a bunch of microbial life in that water. And could there be something bigger than that? You know, like some kind of little bugs or something like that. I don't. I mean, granted, you know, you're probably, you know, the satellites that we have in orbit right now, taking high detail pictures, probably wouldn't be able to pick up like if a person was just walking across the sands or anything like that. But I would think if there was a group of people to where they would have like a town or something like that, we would have seen it, unless they're underground, like you say. So.
Right. Well, some kind of fossilized evidence that's below the surface somewhere. Wayne says if we did come from Mars, or say from Mars, there would be loads of evidence left behind on Mars to prove it.
Exactly. Unless it all got blown up. But plus, depending on how long ago it was, because stuff does rust. I mean, stuff does deteriorate over time, even in a thin atmosphere there on Mars. And they don't have much of an electromagnet. They don't have much of a magnetic field for that. So they get bombarded by radiation pretty heavily. That's one of the biggest factors as far as like Elon Musk wanting to go colonize the places. Whatever they're going to go, they better look for an old cave or volcano vent or something like that they can build their habitat in, at least the very first ones, because they get clobbered. There was a big solar flare we had a couple of years ago where people were seeing the aurora borealis, like down in Ecuador and stuff like that, if you recall that one. And that same blast went past the Earth and actually hit Mars. And some of the probes we had, you could see all the radiation affecting their cameras and stuff.
Right.
And they figured out that it was the equivalent for like the few minutes that they had the video going before they shut everything down, and because they didn't realize it was going to be that bad, they shut everything down to protect it. That they predicted that it was the exposure equivalent of like 40 or 50 chest X-rays in a row.
Wow.
That's a lot. That's quite a bit.
Well, yeah, it is. Wow. So let's see. Mr. Prism says, Enzo, you might be thinking about the meteorite from Mars they found with signs of microbial life.
Yeah, got that. Well, that happened because it was what I'm thinking about is like when I talked about as a kid, I remember seeing the news clip. This was way before that. That was one of the things that Bill Clinton actually came out and announced that discovery, because they found a meteorite in Antarctica, as a matter of fact. And when they examined it, there did appear to be fossilized microbes in the rock. So that means something had to hit Mars hard enough to blow this chunk of rock out, blow it outside of the gravitational pull, and it swim around the solar system enough to then land into Antarctica. So
Betty says here, when I lived in Ohio many years ago, I was sleeping and all of a sudden I woke up with a bright light shining from my second store window. Looking out, I couldn't believe it. I lost time.
Oh,
wow.
Has it happened? Did it just happen the one time? Oh, it's bad of you, Betty.
Right. That's a good question there, Betty. Yeah. Was it the first time, only time? Let's see. That large one was the Imperial ship with Vader on board. Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
It does. That's what I'm saying. How could they just make up something like that? There was no such thing as flying. Yeah, he's right. He's right.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Ian says woodcuts are time consuming. Somebody should have videoed it. Yeah. Would have made it a lot quicker for them. They had to put a lot of effort into that one. Let's see. This wasn't the only event like this within 30 years. It happened like 3 times in that area in different towns. Okay, I missed something there. Sorry, guys. because we're behind. I'm trying to catch up.
Oh, okay. I was like, where are you reading that? I'm not seeing.
Yeah, we're behind a bit, so it's
A lot of questions. Very inquisitive audience.
great. I love it. All right, I'm sorry. I'm going to skim down to Sage's question. Do you believe in panspermia? Am I saying that right?
Panspermia, yeah.
Panspermia is possible, and can this planet's life be seeded from that?
Highly possible. Panspermia is the idea that like the comets have like basic amino acids and things like that on the surface of them. And as they're spreading out their tail across the world, that litters down on various worlds and basically becomes the seeds of life. Like here on Earth, where you've got oceans and stuff like that, that could fall into, those amino acids and such could eventually, if there's enough of them over a long period of time, assemble themselves into, over a long period of time, single cell organisms, and evolution kicks off from there to keep getting bigger and bigger and better. And they're some of what they've seen, at least, not counting 3-Eye Atlas, because who knows what's on that one, is they have discovered that using spectral photography and things like that on the tails of various comets over the years, that it's kind of likely that they do contain those basic building blocks of life, where if enough of it got dumped into a specific area, which would be like an active culture for a biology type experiment, in a test tube or in a petri dish, except you're just using the world's oceans and stuff falling out of space, where basically it starts assembling things for life. And that doesn't mean that it's going to be everywhere. The conditions have to be just right. If stuff started falling into, like Mars today, like that, there's no water there. It's not going to have that kickstart. It's not going to have that basic soup to start from.
Right. Okay. Piggy wants to know, is Mars radioactive? Could life have been vaporized somehow?
Don't recall any stories of like massive radioactive, like dead zones, but even like during a nuclear war, you can go pull up pictures today of Nagasaki, and it's beautiful. It's amazing. It doesn't look like you dropped an atomic bomb in there 80 years ago. Things like that, they disperse and get weaker over time. So for something that may have happened millions of years ago, that kind of stuff probably wouldn't, those dead zones like you would imagine,
right,
wouldn't be there. All that would be left would be like wreckage of a city or something like that. But even that, over a long period of time, it's, if all humans disappeared from Earth today, in a couple of thousand years, there wouldn't be a whole lot of overt signs of it. Buildings would decay and fall apart, bridges would fall apart, things like that. You might, maybe like the St. Louis Arch might last a little longer or something like that, made of stainless steel, but
right,
hardened like underground things might last a lot longer. So if there was stuff like that in Mars, if they were doing nuclear wars on Mars, a million years ago, there might be like an underground bunker that might still exist someplace.
Well, I would think it would be interesting if we were able to have a crew sent there to do these kinds of testings. That would just be awesome. But like you said,
that would be such a needle in a haystack. Yeah. Okay, you got an entire planet.
Start digging. You got to hire the professionals that are out there, out in the desert here. Those people will dig forever. So
get one of those YouTuber kids that goes magnet fishing and the metal detector nerds on the beach out there.
Right. Okay. Oh, hi, Carla. Yes, we have Enzo. You were missing it. You were missing it. That's what you get for working. And according to what Betty said, she's it was the first time that happened.
Wow.
And she says, I've seen several through the years, but just in the sky. And it was the first time through your window. So
Hmm.
that's it was hovering
Do you,
and then went straight up and then took off so fast.
do you view that as a positive or a negative experience? What happened?
Yeah, that's actually a good question. I think anytime you're able to see something like that is awesome. Unless you get, nailed like those I don't remember the guy, you remember you were telling me about his book with his friends and on the beach there.
Oh yeah, the
It's
Tedescos.
oh my
Yeah,
god, that is scary. Yeah,
yeah,
that I wouldn't want to have to deal with that.
yeah. That's the thing is a lot of people, even though if you look at it from like a zoological type of thing, is you know, hey, we want to learn more about this giraffe and on the Sahara. Or out in there in northern Africa, we want to check these out, and the only really way we can take like good blood samples and stuff like that is we'll have to do the dart thing in the neck and go up and carefully treat them correctly, take the blood sample or a skin sample or whatever, and they'll sleep it off for a few hours and then they'll be fine.
Right.
They may be treating us the same way, kind of a thing. And that's the other thing is they may not even view us as important enough to try and communicate or try stuff like that. If you're driving down the highway at 75 miles an hour, are you concerned if the anthill on the side of the bridge is trying to communicate with you? No.
Yeah, no. See, that's the thing that a lot of people don't think about. When you're going looking for this stuff, it's a big adventure until they try to snatch you, and then it might not be a pleasant experience.
Yeah, yeah. Much like any large group of people, there's going to be people that are great, and you'll have a friend for life. There's going to be people that may shiv you as soon as they can to take your wallet,
Yeah.
and there's probably going to be a larger percentage that don't care at all and just ignore you.
Yep, pretty much. I don't know if everybody knows about that story. Would you like to regale us about that story with those people on the beach? That is definitely a very amazing story.
But the book is called Nightcrawler, which is about two brothers. They're both engineers, and we're kind of curious from an engineering perspective about like UFOs and things like that. And they're like, okay, how would we be able to detect these things? How can we figure out a way that that there's been like, because they lived in Long Island, out on Long Island in New York, and there'd been stories of people seeing craft and things like that, especially out over the ocean. So they started kind of inventing their own gear. They invented like their own rangefinder and a very limited like radar thing. They ended up actually buying an old RV and mounting like all kinds of crazy antennas on it to pick up all kinds of signals. And they got specifically licensed for that vehicle to have a marine grade radar system on it, like you would have on a fancier boat, smaller boat. And they started being able to start tracking these things and actually seeing them. They discovered that it was best with thermal imagery, thermal cameras
Right.
to actually see them out over the ocean.
Right.
What did they see? They saw big ass triangles out there.
Ugh.
And they have a bunch of videos and stuff like that. They're not super great because honestly, any kind of like night vision and thermal photography, even if you have like super high end stuff, kind of still looks like crap. But that's the only way they were able to track these things is by a marine grade style, radar and thermal imagery. But there was one instance where one of these objects was relatively close to the shore, and they kind of like, screw it. They walked out there and got as close as they could. They're like shining their lights at it and stuff like that. And they had an infrared laser kind of a thing that they shined on it, and they said through their hardware that they had, their imagery hardware they had, this one that was closest to them shined like, they said it looked like a square beam of light, like straight down into the water, and then it kind of like swept like a searchlight up towards them. And when it got close to them, the one brother that was closest, he said, it was like my legs just went numb, and I just fell down in the sand. I couldn't stand up. My legs had been basically paralyzed. And of course, his brother's like right next to him, like, "Are you all right? What's going on?" He's like, "I can't move my legs." And of course, they are of a certain age. He's like, "Oh my God, he's having a stroke or something like that. I got to get him out of here. I got to get him to the hospital." Not completely ignoring now that there's a mysterious black triangle thing shooting square laser beams at you. He runs over to where his brother is and like tries to like pick him up and drag him back to the RV, which was a short distance away. And then his legs started getting numb and he falls down into the sand. So now they're like, "We got to get the hell out of here." And they're like doing the arm over crawl thing through the sand to get the hell away from where this square beam of light or whatever,
right,
that can only be seen in infrared, away. And they had an assistant that was monitoring all the equipment in the van. They're like, "Are you guys all right? I'll come and help you." They're like, "Don't come any closer. You'll get inside of this and you'll be doing the same thing." And once they crawled 20, 30 feet away, they started kind of getting their feeling back, and they kind of calmed down a little bit, and they pulled up their imagery stuff, and the thing was gone.
You're gone.
Wow. So, you gotta be careful with your investigation stuff.
With the unknown.
If you're trying to make contact, you may not get the answer you're thinking.
Yeah, this is
not
really
the one you're
scary. Totally scary. They were happy I said I didn't mind. Oh, Steph's being fresh. Oh God, you guys got any more questions for Enzo before we let him tell us all about where you can find him and be on his way? So it's while we're waiting to see if anybody's going to be popping up, where can everybody find you, Enzo?
You can follow me on where do I want to say you can follow me? Oh, wait. I used to have a thing for that. Oh, you can follow me on Twitter.
There you go.
I don't post a lot on Twitter or X. I do post a lot of solar activity stuff because that's an interest of mine as well. Because eventually we're going to get blasted. We're going to get hit with one of those blasts one of these days.
I think, actually, they just posted a thing about solar flares popping up.
We just went through a moderate size blast a couple of days ago.
So maybe that's why our internet and all that is going screwy. It's all being affected. We've got a question from Friday. He wants to know, when will your channel go live? The pressure, Enzo.
Probably. I don't know. It's mostly because I can't find. I don't want to do it by myself because I'm not a single streamer guy. There are people that can do that. I'm not one of them. I'm a conversationalist. I need to be fielding questions from people, or at least chatting about stuff and comparing notes about various things. That's why I would like to get people from different fields that are outside of my expertise. And I feel like we would all learn something. I think, and especially the audience. It'd be fun for everybody.
Yeah,
but
see, there's an opportunity
until I can, I'm still building a team. I might have to move the day of the week to a different day, which may affect it'll affect their level of drinking if they have a day job.
Right.
Cheers.
So yeah, that's what it is. It's hard to find somebody that you could have on all the while, but it's great to have other people. Like I said, great opportunity for Friday. You'd have Friday on. He's a great guest.
Yeah, maybe. Send me your resume, sir.
Yeah, there you go. Have people put in applications to join the channel.
That's it. we'll have a trial basis.
There you go. That's what he's saying. Yeah, have people send in applications to join the channel. Good idea.
Yeah, send your resumes to me online, and we'll see what we can do.
You can also find him. He's always on with Karen.
Yep, always on with Karen. Whenever she's feeling randy enough to do a show, Saturday night here in the States around
Right.
9 Eastern. So
she gets a bee in her bonnet.
Yeah. She hasn't been too with the holidays and everything else. She hasn't been too motivated to hop on.
To hop on. I know it's always sitting around. I'm waiting. I'm like, all right, Karen, when are you going live? So always a great show when you guys are together and all different topics. You guys should always check it out. I want to thank you, Enzo, for joining us tonight. We've learned a lot. Great questions, everybody in the chat. We really appreciated it. And we will definitely have Enzo on again whenever he's free and whenever we want to know what's going on out there in outer space. So until then, guys, you all have a great night. And thanks again,
Thank you so much for having me on. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, I'm glad you had a good time.
All these and some really great questions too.
Always, and my chat never disappoints. They've always got some great stuff coming out, and
I hope I was able to give good enough answers.
You did. You were brilliant. No worries there. Until then, guys, remember always. Hey, Jethro, how's it going? Jethro must have been lurking. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope everyone enjoyed the show. Again, thank you, Enzo. And remember, guys, always live life a little bit on the raw side. Until next time.